welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And once again, it is the Barnes and Tony Show. Anthony, how are you, my friends?
I'm doing well. You know, nice and chilly again after the unseasonably warm day yesterday. I was sweating in the studio all day. But hey, man, you know, it was a good night. You know, I watched some hockey and, you know, chilled, worked, and then here I am, you know, back with you, bud.
Which game were you tuning into?
I watched the Devils Red Wings game.
Okay, and
yes.
Good chunk, most of it, or
I would say actually I think I did watch like probably since the second and third period.
Okay.
But the third period I was in and out because by the third period I think it was like 5-0.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was just like, all right,
it's tough.
dude,
Yeah,
you know?
once you get to that point.
Yeah.
But I know we always talk about this, but isn't it just different with baseball? Like Mets are up 12-0. You want to finish it out. You don't want to cut.
No, no. It is way different with baseball. Obviously. Well, I mean, it would be different with a team I actually follow. Probably is what it is. You know. I mean, Devils, Red Wings. I don't have much dog in that fight.
Right. Exactly.
Other than our pick segment, which I obviously won that one.
It is tough sledding, but big slate today. Maybe even room for 5 picks each. I got to double check. I know 4 for certain. But there's so much to get into. You know, obviously we'll talk some baseball, and of course get into the hockey. But I want to start somewhere where we don't usually go. And I'm hoping by the time March rolls around, Tony, you're gonna get a little fired up. So I just wanted to mention, my mom has been on me, a very loyal watcher to this show. To mention about the Providence college basketball team. And I have to say, last night, Providence in Rhode Island, in what was once the Dunkin' Donuts Center, they always called it the Dunk, now referred to as the Amica Mutual Pavilion, a place I've watched many games going back to the days where my sister went to Providence and was a 4-year member of the pep band. But I've seen some magic there. I was there back in, I want to say it was 2008 when they beat number 1 Pittsburgh as an unranked team under 500, fans storming the court. And I would imagine you could say the same for last night as unranked Providence beats number 4 UConn 73-61. So a huge win for the Friars here as they moved to 13-3. And unfortunately for UConn, they dropped their second straight game, last time out losing at Xavier. So these road conference games becoming a little bit of a challenge for UConn. So it was nice because typically, I've definitely been a little more fired up for UConn this year, with that top, really good start, something we haven't seen in a while. But of course, going to Providence games over the years, always am a fan of Providence as well. And just we've talked about it a lot for a topic that we don't talk about much, but the value of a good coach, and that being Ed Cooley, someone close to home here. But it's like he's really built a program there, and I feel like that's where the really good. I think there's a difference in college sports, whether we're talking about basketball or football. There's a difference between a really good coach and a really good recruiter. And I think the guys like Nick Saban, the guys like Kirby Smart, those guys are recruiters. You know what I mean? They build their staff, sure, but it's like that's what they're getting, the top talent. You know what I mean? A coach is nothing without his players, but I just feel like ever since Coach Cooley has arrived in Providence, it's like he never has the most talented team in the conference. They won it last year. He's been to the NCAA tournament, and you think about what he's competing against. Especially just in their own conference. You think about it from a national perspective. Is a top player more likely to go to UConn, to go to Georgetown, to go to Villanova, or to go to Providence. Providence has always been kind of on the lower end of things for a big program in a power conference. But also what's helped them too, this transfer portal, that's been a big topic the last year, whether we're talking about college football or college basketball. And one guy who had 27 points last night, played at Kentucky last year, Bryce Hopkins, has really paid dividends from the Friars. He's from Oak Park, Illinois, a sophomore, 6'7", averaging 16.4 points per game, 9.2 rebounds. So a really good transfer for them, but they have help from all over. Croswell had 13 points last night, Lockwood 17. And this was a game that was very tightly contested in the first half. At the half, Providence led 33-30 before pulling away in the second half, outscoring UConn by 9. But it just seems like they're gearing up for another run under Cooley. And last year was great, getting to the Sweet 16. And I just feel like, forever there was this kind of, ceiling with teams, especially in March Madness, where you could only get to a certain point. Sure, Providence might win 27 games, but they're not going to win more than one tournament game. But now I feel like after, we talked about the other day, Sister Jean, going to the Final Four. Right. Who's to say that Providence can't get to the Final Four? Or look at what Gonzaga. I mean, they've been on the doorstep of a national championship. They're playing in the West Coast Conference. So we talked about this, but I just love the underdog story. And I think you really have to give props to Coach Ed Cooley there at Providence. And maybe, who knows, we'll see how this season ends, but he definitely could be under consideration for National Coach of the Year. And as far as UConn, it's tough when you start out 14-0, then you lose 2 games. Their next one is a home game against Creighton on Saturday. So at least that's an opponent, Creighton 9-6, not exactly a powerhouse of the Big East. You feel pretty good, but that's the key. And no matter what sport we're talking about is just stopping the bleeding. So you don't go on a 3-game losing streak. You win another game, you right the ship, and I think they'll be just fine. But that was definitely a very exciting game last night in Providence. And then just on their end of things, they are actually going to host St. John's on Saturday. And St. John's, it's crazy. Like I see it all over Twitter, and a lot of guys on the Fan, John Minko, who used to work as the update guy for Mike Francesa, he's now retired from the Fan, but he does play-by-play with actually Brandon Tierney, who's, with Tiki, doing their midday show every day. And they just talk about it all the time. It seems like it's the same thing with St. John's, where they do great in the non-conference. I think they're 11-1, and they're like 1-4 in conference play. So, that's tough. And it's crazy because you think about way back in the day, Chris Mullins and all of that, where St. John's was a dominant power, rivaling with the top teams of the Big East, Syracuse, UConn back in the day. And it's just tough because, they split their games, half of them are on canvas in a 4,000 or 5,000 seat arena. So it's just like the motivation, it's tough. I mean, now, sure, you have some NIL deals, but it's tough to have motivation to go there. But being, a fan of New York teams in general, I've always kind of wanted to root for the turnaround, and they've had some decent seasons in years past, but it'll be interesting to see if they can right this ship. And, I would imagine, Providence will be more than ready for the challenge on Saturday. But just wanted to sprinkle in a little college basketball, Tony, and I'm kind of curious what your answer is going to be. I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm asking anyway. If you had to pick, we know watching the sport of basketball, not your favorite thing, NBA or college, and let's say NBA playoffs or March Madness. Let's take it a step further.
Oh, wow. That's pretty interesting. I guess if I had to choose in general, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would choose NBA in general.
Just because the players.
Yeah. And I guess obviously if it comes to playoffs, I'm probably going over to the March Madness bracket here.
Yeah. We'll get you there. I'm just saying. I know you're not, I think you compare it to me being enthralled by movies on a daily basis and shows. That's kind of what I think your body language is giving me right now. But I'm telling you, Jay knows it too. We're gonna get you there.
Speaking of Jay, he wants to know, what do you think about March Madness to expand to 90 teams?
So I don't know if I don't think that's official yet. I did hear something about that. But if you think about right now, there's 68 teams. You have your playing games and stuff. Feels like it's more than enough. I don't know. I just feel like we're to a point where, whether we're talking about baseball, NBA, hockey, March Madness, NFL. I just feel like, why do we need to change anything regarding the playoffs? The playoffs are great. What 90 teams, Tony? I mean, going from 68, that's an additional 22 teams.
That's good math. I mean, I think what it comes down to is probably money at that point.
It does, but then I just feel like, so then there's going to be teams under 500 in the tournament. That's what we want. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we want to watch something like that, shouldn't we just watch the NIT?
Basically. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not for it either. I think it's it's happy the way it is, dude. People are happy with the way it is. So why are you going around changing it? You mentioned the transfer portal too. What do you think about the transfer portal? Do you like that?
That's a good question, Tony.
Because when I did that shoot, down in Alabama, and I shot Saban talking, and Mike Leach was there, and Kentucky, Auburn, like all these college coaches were there, and as well as high schools too, from Alabama, Texas, so predominantly Alabama, Texas schools around here, and they all seem to be not only under the impression, but all kind of banding together to stop the transfer portal. Because they don't like it. They didn't like it at all, dude. Like Saban was like angry about it, dude.
And it's funny that he would say something like that, just because, listen, first of all, Alabama, what recruiting does he even need to do, really? I mean, you know what I mean? Everybody knows Alabama. Everybody wants to go to Alabama. Sure, he might be tight that he recruits a 5-star. He sits on the bench for a year, and then he wants to go play at Arizona and be the starting quarterback. But it's like, on the same side of things, schools like Alabama are taking the star wide receiver at Pittsburgh and then bringing them into their program. So it's like, I feel like it just really puts those schools at a disadvantage. And sure, they can benefit as well, but I think it's more the other way. These guys that maybe went into college and didn't expect to be the leading receiver in the country, all of a sudden, why am I playing at UTEP? Why don't I go to Alabama?
Yeah.
So I guess the short of the story, I don't necessarily like it, and maybe I know they won't, but in hindsight, I think they were better off leaving it as is, making them sit the year out, because we know, if anything in this world, no one has any patience. So no one wants to sit out that year, miss a year. So that deterred them from doing it. But now it's just, guys are playing 4 or 5 schools. I mean, it's
crazy.
It really
like the NFL.
is.
It's like getting traded. Like,
yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's college sports, man. It's a tricky thing in the future. Who knows, where it's going to be in even 10 years from now. I've always enjoyed it. At times, could be a little monotonous in the regular season. But I don't think there's anything better than like the postseason, March Madness. It's all good stuff. So it's nice to kind of work that into the show a little bit, Tony.
Yeah,
just a sprinkle.
Just a nice 13, 14 minutes.
I mean, that's it's not a 40-minute baseball off-season conversation.
No.
But what is exactly? Anyway, speaking of that, let's go to the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. A back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
There's damage right there. Shohei. Way, Sayonara. Where did that land?
Smoke to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins it, fires. Out at first.
There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right. So the big news coming out of Boston yesterday, Rafael Devers, one day after signing his 1-year, $17 million arbitration deal, they agree on an 11-year, $331 million contract, and this will start after this coming season. So obviously locking up their best player, their franchise cornerstone at this point, with Bogart's gone. Obviously, Betts gone for a couple of years now, for 11 years, $331. And I'm kind of curious to you, Tony, and everyone watching as well, just what everyone's thoughts are on this deal. But of course, Tony, we'll start with you before we get to me here. Your instant reaction, Devers, 11 years through 31.
My initial reaction is honestly, I guess, good for Boston. Really, I mean, someone like Devers, at this point, 26 years old, right?
Yep.
So, free agency, Bogarts is gone. Boston had a horrible year. Not, they didn't do great the year before either, honestly. Even though, they knocked the Yankees out of the wild card.
I like how you had to sneak that in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying they had some success, but they would have a great year.
What are you doing,
dude? I was surprised to see that he wanted to stay with the team. Is really what I'm getting at here.
Money talks.
Money does talk. So 11 years at $331 million. That's a little over $33 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's getting paid a good chunk of money to stay there for 11 years, which means he'll be 37 by the time his contract is up. So he's basically saying, you know what?
Actually 38, because you think about the 1 year.
37, yep. So basically, he's saying like, hey, I enjoy Boston. They clearly want to pay me to stay here.
He could be the guy.
He is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
He is going to be the guy. And you would also, have to imagine that it's, it is Boston. They have a big market. They can buy some players that they're probably going to turn around, I mean, I would at least a few times within his 11-year contract, they're going to be a contending team. So, it's not like Devers is signing away his life to be like, oh, I'm just going to be with this shit team my career and I'm going to be their guy. And that's it. So, I mean, I think he's going to find success with the Red Sox. The Red Sox will probably eventually, get a good team going because, right now, I mean, it looks a little sad over there in Boston. And like, Brian was saying before the show, we all love to see a nice competitive Boston team because that, sets up the good rivalry for the Yankees. We don't want the Yankees rolling into Fenway and just, easy peasy against the Red Sox.
Hollow wins against the last place team, like last year, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. So I like it. It's a good signing for the Red Sox. It's nice to see Devers have some loyalty to Boston, to his team. So I think it's going to bode well for both parties here.
And I forgot who I was listening to on the radio, listened to so many different shows. But basically, they were saying kind of, well, I mean, the Red Sox, what other decision did they have to make here? After losing so much talent over the last couple of years. And I've always liked Devers. I mean, he's always been a thorn in the Yankees side. I have referenced this countless times on the show, but ever since that home run off Chapman, I think it was 105 miles an hour up in the zone. I mean, how do you hit a home run on a 105 mile an hour fastball? But I guess if Aroldis Chapman is throwing it, I guess anything is possible. But that being said, I guess one thing that I just have to wonder to myself, you look at the career numbers of Devers, kind of up and down the board, and obviously too. You think about his career, some of those teams have been first place teams. Some of those teams, like last year, have been last place teams. So is he a guy that, over the course of this contract, 11 years, so let's be conservative here. Let's say for 7 of those years, is he a perennial guy that hits 30, 100 and hits around 300? You look at 2 years ago, 2021, 38, 113, 279. Last year, 27, 88, 295. So the contact is there. Strikeouts were down from the year before. You go back to 2019, 32 and 115. So as he, gets closer to 30 here, and also too, is that the max that we're going to see out of him? Or is he a guy that could develop into a 40 home run guy? That's kind of my question. I mean, I think that the talent is there, but just what I was hearing on the radio yesterday, they don't even think he is a top 10 offensive player in the sport. So I kind of just was curious what your thoughts were there, Tony, in terms of, first of all, what you expect from him moving forward, and number 2, do you believe he belongs in the top 10 conversation?
Ooh, top 10 would be kind of tough for me. I mean, just because, obviously there's a lot of talent around the league.
Mm-hmm.
To put him at top 10, Right now, you mentioned looking at his numbers. I think that he could hit 40 home runs, I think, in a season. When you think about it, like you said, he did drop down on the strikeouts. 2021, when he had 38 home runs, he struck out 143 times. Last season, he only struck out 14 times. I feel like working on that is pretty solid there. He did have 40 less at bats, though, since 2021. So it should be interesting to see, maybe what type of adjustments he does. But I mean, even if he comes out here, I mean, and still strikes out a lot, but hits 38 home runs. He's batting. You mentioned 296 last season, 279 the year before that. I mean, if he's batting anywhere around then, I mean, he's going to be good. So I mean, top 10 though, I wouldn't say top 10 in terms of offense. I mean, there's a lot more players out there that probably have more offense than he does.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're not
consistently.
You're not wrong there, and I think a couple things too. We talked about what other direction are you going to go in? So they didn't have another choice. There's no other guy on the team that you're going to say, okay, he's the face of our franchise. And I think also they saw just the negative perception and obviously the results on the field last year of losing those guys, what people are thinking, fans are getting discouraged. So I almost think by not re-signing those guys, they kind of increased the price.
Oh,
so they kind of backed themselves in a wall. So is it a slight overpay? I mean, more than likely.
Yeah. But I mean, when you think about, I don't know, dude, again, he's still pretty young. I mean, he could have a massive year, at really any point. Like, he has the ability to do that. Will it happen? I don't know. But I mean, like you were saying, I mean, Boston needed to sign this guy. I mean, people are still pissed off about Mookie Betts.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't really let him go, really. So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think it's going to bode well for both parties here. Maybe you paid more, but I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter, dude.
And just, so other than that, kind of light, around the league, I guess Wade Miley, who was once a Red Sox, 1 year, $4.5 million deal, with Milwaukee. But still, it's just, especially on Yankee Twitter, just looking out, everybody is very concerned about, what the move is in left field. And I think I might have tagged you in this, or you probably saw it on Twitter, but there's some rumblings that they're possibly interested in Trent Grisham. And obviously the lefty, 26 years old, Padres. He was playing in the wild card series last year.
Yeah, he did really well against the Mets in the wild card series.
But last year, 184. He had other decent years. Like I said, I think he's only 26. But just the fact that they would have to give up some decent prospects for him, I don't know. I just feel like that's a risk that they can't take, especially after the Joey Gallo disaster. The fact that you're going to give up capital for this guy after he hit 184 and almost 600 at bats.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's a terrible idea.
How old is he?
I think he's 26.
He's 26.
I mean, if you look at, he had a decent year.
I mean, he had a decent year, but I mean,
like not last year, but like the previous year. But
obviously, I know him mostly from the wild card series. Grisham was someone in the bottom of the lineup for the Padres that really screwed up, our pitching.
Tony, I'm gonna just cut this off at the knees right now. So this is let's see. Okay, so really, I mean, he's played 2 mostly full seasons. Last year was 152 games, 17 homers, 53 RBIs, 184, and OPS is 626. The previous year, the better year, 242, 15 homers, 62 RBIs, OPS 740. I'm sorry, that's trash.
That is pretty trash.
To have any type of expectation for this guy.
I know.
I just, whether it's him, whether it's Max Kepler, I don't want him. I mean, right? Like I feel like too, there's like this obsession, with my fellow Yankee fans here, where they just have this need for Oswaldo Cabrera to be a utility guy. But it's like, and I understand that whole communication scenario in the playoffs with the shortstop, running into him and stuff. But I just think with a full off season, a full spring training, he could get comfortable in left field. Why not just let him grow there? And like, sure, you could just because he's a starting left fielder doesn't mean you can't rotate guys around.
Right.
He's gonna get days off. Other guys are gonna get days off.
Mhm.
I feel like at this point, especially because you're gonna have to give up a king's ransom if you want Brian Reynolds. That's just your best move. Just stick with Cabrera and left. And don't put Hicks there. That's for sure. But
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
do you think that's their best move at this point?
Yeah, Reynolds.
No, not Reynolds. A Cabrera.
Oh, yeah.
Younger
Definitely.
guy. I mean, he hit that big home run in Cleveland in the division series. I just think there's so much potential there. So that's what I'm hoping for. We'll see as we inch closer day by day. And I still can't believe, Tony, that there's no more news or anything on Correa. I mean, this is getting a little crazy, no?
It is getting a little outrageous, and obviously, it's the Mets' big focus. But I am hearing that, after Correa, this whole Correa thing goes away, with whatever happens, they're going to pursue some more depth in the outfield, which is cool. I think we definitely need that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty sure Conforto is still a free agent.
Yeah, I
Right?
completely wait, or no. Where
He
the
got
heck
signed by someone?
Yes. Where the heck did he sign?
I don't know if he did.
I feel like we
dude.
never even no. You know why?
Oh wait, you know what, dude? He did.
Did we not talk about it?
I don't think we ever did talk.
Did he go to
about it.
Texas? No.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, everyone's going to fucking Texas.
Wait, did he not?
I could have sworn I thought I saw like, free agent.
Oh, Giants. That was the pivot.
Giants, that's
Right.
right.
Okay. We probably did talk about it. But I don't know. I don't think I don't know if that was the best landing spot for him. I mean, is he really going to splash a couple in McCovey Cove like Barry Bonds?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe a couple.
I
don't know, dude.
But what were you saying though? You after Correa, what are they going to do? Make some trades?
No depth in the out. They're trying
Try
to
acquire
outfield,
whether it's free agency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron Hicks.
It's not funny.
Florial. I thought you would take a flyer on Florial.
Probably, yeah. I would.
I think he still could be good, but I don't know. They seem like they're convinced they don't want to give him a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's really all I'm hearing right now for baseball. But anything that comes across, I just want to see too. I think we have a comment here. Just wanted to see if it was baseball related or what we got. Did I not say the Devils would win, Eddie? Michael, this is a baseball conversation.
Wow.
Right now. We're talking about Eddie Mush and the Devils. Wait your turn, Michael. Wait your turn. Anyway, Tony, we were actually going to go there. So let's go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by McCarr. He flattens Jordan's skull. Oh my goodness.
Next to come right back. Terrified and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliance from Igor Shesterkin.
It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
All right, Michael. Now is your time. 5-1. The Devils over Detroit last night on TNT. And, Tony mentioned he was watching it, and the Red Wings putting on that goal late by Raymond to avoid the shutout here. Jack Hughes with his 22nd goal of the year. Vanacek, great game, 32 of 33 in net. And I think, honestly, in all seriousness, I know we joke around a lot, the whole Devils-Rangers rivalry and whatnot. But it was a game they needed to win. Obviously this year, recent struggles aside, they've been a lot better team than Detroit. So I think it's a positive sign moving forward that they took care of business. Am I wrong, Tony?
No, you're not wrong. You mentioned that this is a game they definitely needed to win for sure. And honestly, I mean, I don't know. I kind of thought Detroit would put up a little bit of a better fight here, but I mean, they just absolutely, rolled them over. And I feel like the first period, I think I missed most of it, but there wasn't any scoring or much scoring in the first period. We're just no goals scored in the first period. So I come in second period and it's nothing. I'm like, wow, dude, like Red Wings keeping up, skating with the Devils, and all of a sudden, a couple power play goals, it's 2-0, and then third period, it's just the Red Wings just couldn't. I don't think they could have went the distance, because the shifts the Devils put on obviously are so quick, and then the Detroit having good chances, but Vitek Vanacek was just a brick wall in between the pipes there for New Jersey. It's a shame that he couldn't get the shutout, honestly, just to bolster his stats a little bit. But I mean, he had a phenomenal game. I think he made 32 saves on the night. And there were like good opportunities by Detroit. You can't just say, oh, only 32 saves. It's not really that much. We've seen more, but in reality, they were solid, chances. And they do get a power play goal towards the end of the game there, but so I'm sure Vanacek's a little disappointed not getting the shutout. But yeah, a tough game for the Red Wings. A nice bounce back win. The Devils making Michael happy again.
Yeah, definitely a much needed win. Speaking of kind of an embarrassment, the Lightning lose 5-1 to Minnesota. And this one was really an onslaught from the start. Eriksson with one in the first, Kaprizov and Addison add 2 goals in the second before Braden Point on a power play makes it 3-1, and then Steele and Kaprizov again to make it 5-1 here. And if you looked at this from afar, I mean, you would think Brian Elliott started this game. Oh, he did start. Wait, but did he just play back-to-back games?
They did. This is something that I was going to mention. A really cocky move by Tampa Bay. I think he made like 12 saves in their last game. So they're like, oh, let's start Elliott again. Why not?
I mean, Tony,
I know
think
that's
we could do a
pretty
whole
crazy,
show
dude. That is outrageous.
On the obsession with the backup tender. We really could. Ridiculous. Vasilevsky starts. I mean, 3-2 win. I don't know.
I guess again they were looking ahead. I don't even know what they were looking ahead to. What they were overlooking the Wild, I guess, because they're playing the Jets on Friday though, and tomorrow. And I guess they just wanted Elliott to get a little more looks because when you do look at it, their previous game against Chicago, he still had 25 saves. I don't know, honestly, what Tampa Bay was thinking. I don't know if maybe Vasilevsky injured, we don't know about, or something, because that's a really odd thing to do, especially against against someone like the Wild. I mean, they're not a bad team, they're a good team. As Michael says, it's okay. He's not Brodeur. Eastern Conference Finals is going to be epic. Devils versus Rangers. That would be epic.
That would most definitely be epic.
Could be a little unlikely though. You really never know
the way that
the Eastern
the dominoes
Conference are
fall.
so
and
good.
Just the uncertainty
The
of the NHL
dominoes,
playoffs.
dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I mean. It's a real tough thing to predict.
By the way,
that's for sure.
I don't want to leave Michael hanging here. So we had some NBA talk. Brunson, Knicks, best points per game since Clyde. Points in a game since Clyde. Since still need to trade for Bol Bol.
Oh no, he's saying best point guard.
Since Clyde. Point guard.
He's right. I mean, Brunson is balled out, and that's the type of thing you like. A guy coming into the league, not expected to be a star, but this year, I mean, it's conceivable to say he could make the All-Star team. That's how well he's played. In a rare, we've seen the Knicks over the years, throw a boatload of money at guys and get nothing out of it. Eddie Curry, anybody? So to get this type of production, especially in his first year, I mean, hats off to him. He's a hard worker. And I mean, I don't think it's breaking news or anything, but I think it's safe to say that the Mavs are missing him because he was a big part of that team and definitely took off some of the stress from Luka, that's for sure. So props to him on a great year so far. So we'll see how he transpires, the rest of the way here. Little surprise in Anaheim, Tony. 2-0.
You do the
over
shutout.
The Stars.
Did Gibson get a shutout? Gibson did get the shutout.
I mean, what, how, when? I mean, how does that happen?
What, how, when? Well, last night. Very surprising. I mean, 2 goals in the first period, and then that's it. Someone, I mean, again, a team like Dallas, you saw Adam Henrique get a goal very early, 3 minutes in. McTavish gets a second as a power play goal. I think Gibson had like 41 saves. I think I'm trying to see here. No, 35 saves he had.
Impressive, nevertheless.
Impressive, nevertheless. And Dallas 0 for 4 on the power play. Obviously, they didn't score. They won 61% of their faceoffs. I mean, you look at this stat sheet. I understand even struggling on the power play, but them not scoring is pretty outrageous. I guess Gibson was just playing really well. The Devils showed some good defense. So crazy. I mean, you look at even the play-by-play here. I mean, it's just Dallas, just shots on goal the whole time. And there's, the inability to find the back of the net. I mean, I suppose, sometimes it's how the chips fall. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Really crazy.
But, like we've seen in sports.
It's one off.
Any given night, and it's not like the Ducks are going to make a run to the playoffs anytime soon.
No.
So big slate tonight, a lot of picks. Rangers back in action. So obviously we'll start talking about that. But if you would, Tony, I see you have the pad there just for today. If we could go old school with the picks, little transcribe on your end on the pad. You got us?
Oh, wow.
Marking down the picks, I'm saying.
Oh, you want me?
On your notepad.
Yes.
You got it?
Yes,
You got it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it, dude.
Just wanted to make sure. But before we get to picks, let's talk Rangers here at the Canadiens, who this year have been relatively competitive at 15-20, but the Rangers clearly the better team here. I haven't checked daily faceoff of yet. I just wonder if there's a temptation for a Jaroslav game here, Tony. What's your guess?
Yes, I would say there's temptation.
Really?
Definitely temptation.
We got unconfirmed. Martin Jones.
Carter Hart confirmed. Jake Allen unconfirmed. Nancy Runt unconfirmed. Likely. Stewart Skinner. Spencer. Phoenix co-play. Did I pass it?
This is a 7:00 game, so yeah, I would imagine. Unconfirmed Shesterkin.
Jake Allen likely, right?
But we've seen the unconfirmed, then they switch it.
It's no big deal.
But does it? I mean, obviously, we know the talent gap between Igor and Halak, but given the matchup, given the way the Rangers played last game, and I know road games, especially going out of the country for them, are never easy. But
right,
do you feel almost just as confident, regardless of either one of them is starting in net or no?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I think, against the Canadiens, I don't think the Rangers will have any shortage of, goals scored. That being said, Halak may give up more, but like I said, Rangers would certainly still outscore the Canadiens.
Canadiens have lost at least 5 in a row. Not sure if it's more. We can just go to the standings here real quick. 6 in a row. So they actually were over 500 before that streak started, which is kind of interesting.
That is very
Does that make you nervous a little bit? I know that seems like a stupid question, but then all streaks come to an end eventually. But it is the Rangers. End of the day, confidence with your team. That's what I'm guessing you're going to say. Last year, it seemed like before you sneezed, you were like doing one of those, like you were like really like soaking it in, like going to give a detailed explanation.
No, yeah, obviously, I mean, confidence in my team is huge here. I think regardless of what's going on, Brian,
with the wire,
I'm still picking the Rangers. I don't care what losing streak's going on. Who's whatever, dude. Marty St. Louis,
Domingue up from the AHL. You're still taking them.
It doesn't matter, dude. Okay, we just played the Carolina. I almost said Panthers.
Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricanes here. Facing a lot of former Rangers. Obviously, there's also some history with these teams now that Carolina is being contending. And the Rangers still came back. So I would think against the Montreal Canadiens, one of the original 6 teams here, obviously always a rivalry. However, Montreal just can't hang with us. I think we're going to skate all of them. It's going to look like New Jersey and Detroit last night. Give me the Rangers. It's about time Shesterkin starts and get a shutout here. I'll say 5-0.
Wow. Yeah. That is with certainty, yes. Tony. Tough slate tonight. One that just pops out. I know it's always a trouble spot going head up against Nashville. But give me the Hurricanes here. We
Oh.
know they're a good team. I know we handled them in the third period, but I think that almost bodes well for them going into this matchup just because there's some added motivation. I'm sure there's a sour taste in their mouth. They probably felt they had control of that game before it slipped away in the third period.
I bet.
And we've just seen too, no matter who's in net, whether it's Ranta, whether it's Sevi, they're able to take care of business. So I think last game against the Rangers is a one-off, and I think against a team, flip Forsberg or not, like the Predators, that the Hurricanes can make minced meat of, Tony. So at home, I think the crowd will be into it. So easy does it. So give me Carolina here. I'm going to say 5-2 over the Predators. Do we have that marked down?
Dude, please.
Oh, stop.
5-2, you say, right?
5-2.
Okay, my next game here. I honestly thought I was gonna go with the Islanders.
These are tough, no?
Yeah, because I feel like the Islanders could be a good, slight underdog here. Whether it's Sorokin or Varlamov, I'm convincing myself. I mean, give me the Islanders. I just think Edmonton. I continue to say Edmonton is one of those teams who just relies on their bolstered offensive side of the game here. We know who's on their team. But the Islanders, they have two great goaltenders to lean on. They also have a really decent roster. It seems like Matthew Barzal, who started to, I guess, have a slow season, is now leading the team in points. He has 40 points for the team. That's 10 goals, 30 assists. That's still a little slow for what he's been doing since kind of splashing onto the scene. But right behind him is Brock Nelson, 38 points. Anders Lee's been doing a great job. He's probably going to crack 30 points tonight. He's at 29. You have Dobson, a defender, who certainly works his way around the ice. He has 10 goals, 14 assists here from the blue line. Jean-Paul Pajot, I think someone came over from, I think it was Ottawa a few years ago. I think that's where he came from. But he's a very tricky player, tricky center. He wins a lot of faceoffs. He's someone who is almost like a not as good Brad Marchand, I guess you could say. They have Zach Parise as well. There's a lot of good Matt Martin, Casey Zizekas, Kyle Palmieri, the other Sebastian Aho. So Cal Clutterbuck as well. So they have a great team. I guess what I'm saying here is give me the Islanders. I'm going to say they win 3-1.
There we go.
New York back-to-back, baby.
Back-to-back, and definitely a nice win the other night. So many different places I could go. And, I'm obviously always tempted by Vizmelka, and that's a nice matchup with Carter Hart.
Dude.
However, I'm going to go with a revenge spot. Give me Toronto at home against the Kraken. I know it wasn't pretty last time out. That was a little bit of an embarrassment. But I just think, the Maple Leafs, they're due to bounce back. The offensive firepower, the tenacity of Michael Bunting, Tony. I think that's big. And we know all about Austin Matthews. So I think they'll make mincemeat of Spencer Jones. Give me Toronto here, 6-3 over the Kraken.
All right. I'm going to stay in the metropolitan area here. I'm going to go with the Devils. Only minus 190 at home here against St. Louis. Very surprising, honestly. I think, with the way the Devils can play, with the way they played last night, I really can't see how St. Louis is going to have much of an issue. It was going to give the Devils, much of an issue. You look at what they've done the last 5 games. They lost 3 out of the last 5. Minnesota, they lost 5-2. Toronto, they lost in overtime. Vegas, they lost in a shootout. So they're giving some of these teams some kind of pesky games, but ultimately they are losing. And I think if you find them against the Devils in overtime, I think it's over. So give me exactly that. Give me the Devils. They beat the Blues 3-2 in overtime.
going with the overtime call. Interesting stuff. Blue Jackets are a mess. I know you don't like the Capitals, Tony, but I just think Gaudreau, even at home, isn't enough here. Darcy, has played well. And Ovechkin, fountain of youth this year. He's been really playing well. So I just think against Columbus, I just don't see it being a contest. I think they can get all over them early. And I'm going to say the same score that they came out of the winter break, against the Rangers, unfortunately. But this time they're playing the Blue Jackets, 4-0 Capitals. Ovechkin adds another 2 goals to his career tally, Tony.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Are we doing 5 today?
Is there room? Do we have time?
I believe
1, 2, 3.
We got
4,
time,
5,
Brian.
6, 7. No, I'm talking about, is there enough games?
Oh, yeah. I mean, after this pick.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 exactly. So go ahead. Gotta go. Don't look it up.
All right. Give me the Coyotes.
Wow. Have you ever
baby.
picked the Coyotes? I feel like because I'm always all over it.
Yeah, I don't think I ever done because I always pick Rangers and you pick Coyotes right away.
The Coyotes have been biting lately. That's the problem.
So give me the Coyotes. I understand Carter Hart, great goaltender. The Flyers have talent, Kevin Hayes, whatever. But Arizona on the road, they're happy to be out of ASU. Vejmelka likely to get the start here. Coyotes 2-0.
Interesting. Very, very interesting, sir. Give me the Avalanche over the Canucks. I know it's been an uneven start for the defending champs. But I just don't think the Canucks are any good. I know, given the talent, hanging around 500. No. Compared to a team like Colorado, I just don't think it's going to be close. And Colorado needs this in the worst way. They've lost 4 games in a row to Vegas, Toronto, Los Angeles, and Arizona, respectively. So I've not won since last year on 12-23. And they're dealing with some injuries, but it doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, talent wins out. And I think this is a frustration game. So this could get ugly for Vancouver. I'm actually going to say 7-1 Colorado over Vancouver. 3 goals in the first 6 minutes of action. How about that, Tony?
7-1.
7-1.
Bet the over.
The over.
Next game here, I'm going to stick on the western side of the country. And I'm going to take the Penguins against the Golden Knights. Penguins are on, I think, a 6-game losing streak right now. I should really double check it. Let's see scores. Obviously, there's 1.
There's
and
5.
There's
So
yeah, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-game losing streak right now. And I say they're gonna snap that 6-game losing streak.
very odd. From you. Very odd.
Why?
You hate the Penguins.
I don't like the Penguins. I just think Vegas we've seen struggle in these big spots, and the fact that they're kind of a low underdog, I think tells me Vegas knows that this is a good kind of take the underdog spot here. As Vegas is in favor, only -120 here. So I think Pittsburgh marching into Vegas. Like I said, we've seen the Knights stumble here in big spots. I think, against big teams, I should say. They did just beat Colorado. They just beat Nashville. Colorado schneid right now, though. They lost to Dallas. Sorry, they lost to Anaheim. They lost to LA. And before that, we've seen them struggle too. So give me Pittsburgh here. I'm going to say snapping the losing streak. They win 5-3.
Wow. So that leaves, which I'm surprised you avoided this, the Bruins and the Kings from Los Angeles. So I got to go with the Bruins.
Wow.
Are you kidding? And I guess I did just get a notification, which this is good news.
Good nose?
Good news. I apologize. But regarding DeMar Hamlin, the Bills say he has shown remarkable improvement and appears to be neurologically intact as his lungs continue to heal.
That
So great news.
is awesome.
So we love to hear that. There had not too much has come out, but
Right,
obviously
naturally.
anything that comes our way, we'll bring it to you. But of course, we continue to offer our prayers for him and for speedy recovery. But we love to hear the good news. There's been a couple, kind of strands of good news here. So I think that's great.
Finally.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a tough couple days. But regarding this game,
What do you say, Brian?
Olmark pitching the shutout, Pasternak in overtime, the game winner slap shot, left corner, Tony. Left
1-0 game.
Yes. So take the under, take the Bruins on the money line, and they win yet again. What a season it has been for the Boston Bruins. It would be something to get a playoff series in Eastern Conference Finals.
Brian's favorite team.
It's the New York. It's the Boston. I mean, tell me that wouldn't be good. When was the last time we had one, Tony? Look it up. Don't look it up. When was it? A while?
Oh my God, Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think I could tell you that.
Or not even just a playoff series.
Playoff series.
Boston.
Would they win? I think 2015 was maybe the last time they won.
Last time but I'm saying they played the Rangers.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's been quite some time.
No, was it 2015
or 13?
It was 2013. Was it 2013?
I kind of think it was. It was
do,
a while ago.
I recall very specifically Brad Marchand and Zdeno Chara and took a rask, all raising the cup and everything.
And you were tight.
That was a little tight, dude.
Interesting. So it should be an interesting night of hockey. Obviously, looking forward to the Rangers, continuing that positive, momentum. That is for sure. One thing that we're going to talk about here before we wrap it up, something we haven't talked about. It seems like months, Tony. Are we talking months?
It does. We're talking months, baby.
So the PGA Tour is back, baby. Century Tournament of Champions. This is in Hawaii. This is at the Kapalua Plantation Course. This is these Hawaii tournaments. I mean, just for the
quick, gotta go.
Just for the landscape, Tony. I mean, it's just such a treat. Wow, such a treat to watch. And this tournament, ironically enough, Cam Smith won last year. Obviously, not on the PGA Tour anymore, so we will not be playing. Very good there. So this is a tournament that is compiled of all the previous winners of the tournaments last year. The only guy not in the field, Rory McIlroy, wanting to start his golf season over across the pond rather than in Hawaii. So he is not playing in this one. But all the big names that you could imagine in terms of Morikawa, in terms of Matsuyama, in terms of Patrick Cantley, in terms of Scotty Scheffler, in terms of Matt Fitzpatrick, John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Sandra Schauffele, just to name a couple. And then, Guy Seamus Power, who had a resurgent year last year. All-time classic, Tony. JT Poston as well, Victor Hovland, and social media star Max Homa. So you think about that. This is going to be a competitive tournament. Tom Kim, the young, golfer, I think he's like 20 years old, won his first tournament last year.
Another dog.
Played in the Ryder Cup. So this is going to be a treat. So I really can't wait to watch this one and get going on the PGA Tour. There are some rumblings just in terms of more live defections. And we've had guys like Tiger, like Rory say that there could be, some type of combination between the two tours. Or Greg Norman, to step down.
Really?
The Shark, as you can imagine, a little feisty, refusing to do so. So future of golf hangs in the balance. They did announce, for the Masters anyway, that the live golfers will be invited. And John Rahm actually just came out in his pre-Century Tournament, press conference saying he's interested to see and he wishes he could be there for the Champions Dinner at Augusta, which is traditionally held, the night before the tournament, all the past champions. So obviously the live guys getting in the mix and, they're not used to having the interaction now that they're on separate tours. But nevertheless, my love for golf, Tony. So it's always fun. The PGA Tour. And of course, the biggest question on everyone's mind, what is Tiger Woods going to do this year? We saw him play in the match. We saw him, play in a couple different kind of, exhibitions, obviously with his son as well. So it's going to be interesting, how does he recover? And it just seems so obvious too. And the shame part about this with Tiger, if he could take a cart, I mean, I think he could win a tournament right now.
You think so?
Yeah. It's the swing is
Like
there.
a golf cart or like a weed cart?
Well, maybe that would help for the pain, but a golf cart. He's hitting at 300.
Brendan, like
Club speed is there.
It's okay. You can...
But I know he's going to play all the majors this year. It'll be interesting to see what other tournaments he sprinkles in. Maybe he gets over to Muirfield Village for Jack's tournament. We'll have to see. But that being said, these tournaments, especially first tournament of the year, Tony. I mean, you got a little off season built in, a little more break than usual. I want to say it was about a month off, kind of like a Christmas break.
Right.
So, where do you go for momentum? I guess you just go off of sure ability and just kind of hope that pulls through. I do think picking a golf winner, but at least this tournament is on the smaller side, but picking a golf winner might be one of the toughest things in terms of sports predictions out there. So many guys to go against, and you don't know who's going to show up. And we know the talents of a guy like John Rahm. He could win the tournament, but he also could finish last.
I know,
which is
dude.
just,
We've seen it before.
Which is just kind of crazy when you think about it. But that being said, Tony, I'm kind of interested who your official pick will be. Century Tournament of Champions, Kalalua, Hawaii, first tournament of the year. What do you got?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think. Cantley?
Patrick Cantley, former FedEx tournament champion, BMW champion, looking for that first career major. You recognize the talent,
yeah,
and you feel like why not start out the season on the right foot?
Hey man, let's do it.
I'm sure the cost is high, but what an experience it would be to golf in Hawaii.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I can't believe. I guess it's just the travel, and we could talk to Dog about this, but
it's like a 24-hour flight, is it not?
From
us.
Yeah. But actually, no. Actually, it's 12. 12. You could go direct from JFK because it's 6 to California and then 6 to Hawaii.
Oh,
so that's I've always said too. You want to go to Hawaii, do your little California, fly over. Don't have to have 12 hours. I mean, talking about me losing my mind on a car ride that's 12 in the air. Oh my God. That's a lot, no?
Yeah, at least you can get up and walk around, though.
Get up and walk around.
You can't really get up and walk around.
Can't wait to get out of here. Anyway, I've kind of been going back and forth on this.
Yeah, who do you got, Brian?
I'm going to it's like kind of like I'm not really that confident in it, but I feel like sometimes with these things, kind of like you with Cantley, you're kind of going against maybe what you normally would do just to hope that, that's the answer. It's so hard to win these things. So give me Jordan Spieth. He's really reemerged after a couple tough years, got back in the winner's circle, within the last couple of years after a long layoff and seems to contend, at some major championships, which you love to see. So give me Jordan Spieth to win the Century Tournament of Champions. So looking forward to watching this one. Always nice too. Some primetime golf with the time difference. Guys teeing off at 5:30. This thing's coverage will go till almost 10 o'clock at night. So great stuff. Can't wait to watch that. But other than that, Tony, very good there. Anything else on the tip of your tongue here? The water jugs are full, Tony.
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it all, baby.
Let's go. What a day, what a life. And we really appreciate everybody tuning in and continuing to comment, like, and subscribe, as well as checking out the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee in costume, as well as the merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy their day, enjoy the games. Let's go, Rangers. Enjoy the golf, and we will see you
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.